All right, everybody, welcome back to the Move Podcast. I'm your host, one of your hosts, Lance Armstrong, right here with JB Hager and the star of the show, George Hincapie. And we're going to talk about Stage 10 here in a sec, won by Sam Bennett on what was potentially a sketchy day with wind and exposed areas. Didn't quite materialize. But before we get to any of this, I want to say I was glad we had a rest day. But I really missed you guys. I saw George, but JB, I didn't see you. And I woke up today and I was just glad we were back.
I'm grateful too.
I mean, it
was nice to sleep in. I'm not gonna lie.
No, it was. I was craving the rest day, but I was ready to get back to work.
Just like when you rode, you didn't like the rest days.
I hated the rest days.
Definitely gives our days here in Aspen more purpose. We're able to focus on what we're here for.
Yeah. So we're talking about Stage 10. This show today, as it is every day, presented to you by Oura Ring. These guys just keep just completely kicking ass as a company. We backed this company a long time ago, and it's just awesome to see their growth over the years. The amount of data that I get out of the ring, not just from my sleep perspective, but also from activity for recovery, respiratory rate, body temp. It's for a little piece of technology like it has, it's kind of a game changer, right? And so clearly people are taking note. Just launched this partnership with the NBA, with the WNBA. I think we got some guys in the tour. My data is just. I've been working on some hacks, which I think is the point. Like if you see things that don't work, well, you go in and hack it, right? So even as a good sleeper, by the way, latency last night 3 minutes. I fell asleep in 3 minutes last night.
That's amazing.
How you like me now?
That is
George.
amazing.
Head on over to auraring.com. There's our flow code. Bunch of people clicking on the flow codes apparently. That's cool. It's fucked up. Like now you know everything about everything, right? I don't know. I think that's cool, but at the same time, I'm like, whoa. Just, everything.
What do you mean? All the data?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When people are doing things, like you just know. It's scary.
It is a little scary.
It is a little scary. Also today brought to you by Powerdot, another company we talk about all the time. We just love this brand. They've continued to evolve this platform. It's now fully integrated with Apple Health and Strava. Has this awesome smart recovery feature. Athletes in the tour are using it. National Football League, which, by the way, as they keep running commercials, starts on Thursday. That's kind of crazy. MLB, PGA. This is just, promotes circulation to help muscles recover quickly, relieves pain, right, which is what I've been all about the last week. I'm still trying to shake off this damn neck thing. And amazing for rehab from injuries. Like when we were kids and we would always go to the trainer's office or the chiropractor's office, it was just, the E-stem or the TENS unit was the size of this table and cost, thousands of dollars. And now it's the size of a double cheeseburger, which is awesome. Throw it in your backpack, throw it in your car, wherever you go, travel with it, whatever. Head on over to powerdot.com/themove. The buy code there is the move for 20% off. No, sorry. Yeah, 20% off. And then for everybody that buys a Powerdot Duo, they donate 40 meals to Feeding San Diego and Feeding America during these crazy ass times. Another one new to the show, The Athletic, Athletic Brewing Company. Not The Athletic. The Athletic is like a sports news site. Actually, and I'm going to get to this awesome beer in a second, but those two kids that started The Athletic they originally worked at Strava.
Really?
Not many people know that. Good dudes. Anyways, and this is really sort of a personal thing of mine. Is I've really tried to cut back on the alcohol intake for a lot of reasons. I mean, first and foremost, I really needed to drop 10 or so I could compete with George. But as I've scaled back, The Athletic, this beer has really filled the void. These guys they're both passionate cyclists, Bill and John, the founders. Only 50 to 70 calories per can, right? The other cool thing they do is they donate 2% of all sales for the 2 for Trails program. Awesome bunch of flavors here. And I think, do we have it ready? The Joe Natale did a slide for us with George.
I got to take a picture of that.
This is, I mean, and it is just so perfect, right? Stay athletic, my friends. And is what used to be the most interesting man in the world. I actually think you qualify here, George.
How is that? I'd like to know.
Because you are just, look at you. Go back to the pic. Yeah. Can we go back to that?
I'm going to put it on my story.
I mean, ¿Cómo estás? It says. That's just amazing. You have a future. These guys also sell beer online. Head on over to athleticbrewing.com. Free shipping for orders of 2 or more 6-packs. Athleticbrewing.com. The discount code is the move 25. So, as I alluded to earlier, not quite as exciting or as carnage filled as we would have, other than a few crashes. No. To me, the wind wasn't what makes wind, right? The speed of the wind and then the direction of the wind. It just didn't materialize. But Sam Bennett, did 2 things. One is the first stage in the Tour de France, only the 6th Irishman to win. We had a little trivia earlier to figure out the other 5. And he takes over the green jersey.
Yeah, well, I think even going back before that, we all kind of went to bed a little bit on edge, wondering what was going to happen with all this COVID testing. I know that I'm sure you guys missed it, but Johan was texting us at 5:40 this morning.
I was asleep.
That all the riders tested negative, which is great to hear. 4 staff members from 4 different teams tested positive, as well as the director of the Tour de France, Christian Prudhomme. So he got sent home, which is kind of crazy. So it's good. It was great to hear that the tour is continuing on, and I was really overjoyed to turn on the TV and see the race happening.
Yep. I mean, if you think about, in some of the quotes we saw online, 700 people in the bubble, right? Just think about these numbers. 700 people. It's a lot of people that are on the road every day, different hotels, coming in contact. I mean, we talked about the spectators just as close as they've ever been. 700 people, only 5 positive results.
That's amazing.
That is actually,
and the fact that none of the riders, that's just mind-boggling.
I know we were all disturbed to see. In one way, it was great to see all the fans, but it was also very disturbing to see all the fans, some of them screaming in the faces of the riders as they're climbing these mountains. It's kind of a weird look these days. But the fact that all the riders are negative and continuing on racing is great news.
Now, there is something about, and I tell you, this is just a personal thing, and I think COVID is very serious, and it's, unfortunately cost a lot of people their lives, and that means, people have lost family members and loved ones. Not good. But there is a lot of data, and the listeners out there, just correct me if I'm wrong, because you always do, which I love. There's a bunch of data around the chances of outdoor transmission, right? And so, when I was like, I've been doing all these hikes, right? Because I can't ride with George with my bum neck. But man, people freak out. Like when you see them, I'm like, we're outside. I thought that unless I misread the data.
Well, we've seen people even on the mountain bike trails. We're riding up; they'll run up half of the side of the cliff just to get out of
up in
our way.
The woods. Yeah,
it's kind of
and it's definitely more so cautious here in Colorado than Texas, where I was just there a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
People in Colorado definitely hiking with masks, riding with masks, which I think would be very difficult.
You always yell at us for hitting the table, and you've been doing it this year.
When I get...
Golly. The other thing, speaking of Colorado and speaking of being outdoors and hiking, ain't nobody going to be outside today or tomorrow. It was 85 degrees here yesterday, and now by the time it's dark tonight, we're going to have 6 inches of snow on the ground.
Oh.
I mean, look at this. I mean, is this some bullshit or what? It's September. It's not even middle of September yet, and we're going to have 6 inches of snow. I might leave. You guys will have to stay and do this podcast.
We could move the show to Greenville, Carolinas, pack it up and go.
I talked about that. The other thing today is they weren't messing about. I mean, 47-kilometer average for you people working miles, that's almost 30 miles an hour on small, twisty roads. Boy, that's...
Yeah, like you said, it wasn't much action, but for the riders, I guaranteed there was a ton of action. There was crashes. People were very on edge the whole ride, and you saw some of the crashes. I think we should discuss that one huge crash where Thomas Guggens, one of our ex-Hincapie riders, fell down and lost pretty much all the skin on his left side of the body. Something like that is just really, there's no way of avoiding it. They're going down the road at 50-something miles an hour, or 40-something miles an hour, sorry, and somebody touches the wheel in front of them, and just even if you're on the opposite end of the road, 10 or 15 riders away from that, there's a good chance you're not going to be able to get through that crash, which is what we saw today. The whole road got blocked off, and it's just super bad luck for those guys that really had nothing to do with the crash, but still ended up on the pavement.
Well, and it started on the far right, and
Yep.
it just domino, and all of a sudden people are flying off the left side of the road.
Yeah, that's a really scary moment in cycling.
Yeah.
We saw Pogacar hit the pavement,
Yep.
and that was a very narrow section through a turn, but he didn't seem to panic. He just got up, put his arm up, waving
Yeah.
for a new bike.
Well, he had time, but I do think it's always cool to see a young kid that's calm and poised. It's like, all right, I just crashed, but I got time. Let me, just
He looked very calm. That
Yeah.
was the first thing I noticed.
take a little inventory, right? Nothing fucked up here. Bike might be, get a new bike, boom, off we go.
Yeah. Yeah, even though, I mean, he has made an incredible comeback from his time that he lost in the crosswinds last week. I think he's definitely become a GC contender. But like you guys said, to see him so calm and in such a moment of stress, relatively close to the finish, I think indicates where his head is at right now and his confidence. It's interesting to see.
And cool too to see just how emotional Sam Bennett was. He was apologetic.
Yeah.
He said he was, he finally set in when he was doing the post race interview, and then he just started crying, and he said, "I'm so," he said, "I'm sorry. I don't want to be a crybaby." Man, let me tell you something. You ain't no crybaby. All right. You just
Yeah.
won a stage in the Tour de France, a nervous day. You're in the green jersey. Fuck, I don't care what you do.
No, I get it. Like, it's a lifetime of hard-ass work,
Yeah.
right, for that moment.
Not only that, but he had several close calls this past week. I think he's gotten top 5 3 or 4 times, and all the pressure in the world from his whole country of Ireland, his whole team putting it out there every day for him, and for him to finally pull it off and not let doubt get in his mind is just a massive achievement for him. So I was super happy to see him pull it off.
Is it just me, or are these roads? Did these run-ins seem narrow? I don't know. They seem too narrow, honestly. And JB, I know you start to get like PTSD and sweaty and stuff because of the legs that stick out from the
It
barriers.
was narrow today, yeah, with the barrier legs sticking out.
Yeah.
Drives me nuts.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've heard, a couple of directors have said this is the most dangerous tour route they've seen in a long time, and they're not happy about it. I mean, it's the Tour de France. It's dangerous as can be without roads being narrow, so it's unfortunate that they're going through these tiny little roads and tack on wind today and all the stress of the sprinters going for the sprints and the GC guys trying to not lose time. It just makes for a very dangerous situation.
But hang on a second. They've always gone through these roads. Now, that's a fact, George.
Yeah, no, it's a
Now,
fact.
what is not always been the case is the sport now, just call it 200 guys rolling down the road, as an entity, as a moving, as the peloton, let's just call it, it's just a lot faster. Everything is faster. They're all fitter. The bikes are a lot faster. I mean, whether bikes, wheels, they're wearing skin suit. Like, the whole thing is just a lot faster, which makes,
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, you got to start then trying to slow it down like they do in car racing or something. I mean, it's just going to.
I mean, how do those on flat ground? How do the sprint speeds compare to when you were racing, George?
Well, that's a good question. I'm not quite sure of the answer of that. I mean, I was racing with Mark Cavendish, who's one of the best sprinters ever, which hopefully we get him on the next day or two to break down a sprint, and we can check in and see how he's doing. But he was clearly very fast as well. I think today in particular, those, like I mentioned earlier, small roads, lots of wind, and a lot of road furniture, which we all hate.
Mhm.
Traffic islands, the medians in the middle of the road.
And now that has changed.
Yeah, there was.
That's
Today there seemed like there was a lot of them.
And I just and guys, I felt like it. I felt like I was on today. I felt like I'm going to say something fucking brilliant, and I just thought of something else. Another amazing idea
just happened?
that I guarantee you they're going to start doing.
Okay.
Okay. So to George's point, or to your question and to George's point, wouldn't it be cool? And of course, some days the sprints aren't as fast. But what if we knew, like, it's just as a fan or as a viewer, somebody that rides and they go outside and they're going downhill and they're going 25 miles an hour. They think, man, I am flying, or 30 miles an hour. What if we knew just how fast they were going? Like at the peak of the sprint, 42 miles an hour. That would be dope.
Yeah, they're
Like, they should tell us that every day. I think the fan would be like, holy shit.
I think there is
Is that not a
option.
great idea?
There's the option out there with the one sort of organization called Velon,
Yep.
where they have the speed and the power of a lot of these riders, but I think that they're not cohesively working with ASO yet, so we're not seeing it in the Tour de France.
That's
but the technology's out there, and I think it is a great idea, and it's already out there.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's probably days they're 45. I don't know. You know better than me, George, but that would be, I mean, that's some cool content. Like, holy cow, these guys are rubbing elbows at 45 miles an hour.
Yeah, for sure.
Should also mention that Sam Bennett's in green.
Right.
In the green jersey today ahead of Sagan.
And Sagan, he clearly cares about that. I mean, he was up there. He got third.
Yeah, so the team has obviously changed a bunch of their goals in the last week with Alaphilippe kind of sitting up or getting dropped there in the Paris-Sourde in the Pyrenees last week. Today losing. I don't know if he got back on, but he crashed again. So we're going to see Quick-Step going for stage wins now and becoming a real aggressor in the attacks. And it should be fun to see because they are specialists in this sort of racing.
So a little bit of trivia for you folks out there. You can email it into us. What's our email again?
themove@wedo.team.
I should know that. So Sam Bennett, only the 6th winner from Ireland. Who are the other 5? And I'll just tell you right now because everybody going to know this. One of them, Sean Kelly. Duh. So who's the other 4?
Dan Martin, Stephen Roach.
No, I already told you before the show. Me? Stop this. I'm not. It's just for the listener.
Got it.
God almighty. This doesn't work that way.
Awesome. You were asking them to write in.
Yeah, just send us and try not to Google it because I Googled it, so I know the answer. So just think in your head like who are the other 4 winners?
I think we should pull up if the guys in the back are ready to pull up the picture of Tom Skujins, which we'll see how badly he got hurt. I don't know. Do you have that ready, guys?
I don't know.
If we're ready. I got a message saying that we're ready. I'm talking to Higgs. There we go.
Oh,
see, that is a horrible day in the Tour de France. Not only is he coming off of a rest day, which these guys typically come off, they're refreshed, they're ready for the week, but this is just a terrible way to start the second week of the Tour de France, and I'm feeling for him. Fortunately, I did see him cross the finish line. He was smiling and talking to some of his buddies, so I think he'll be okay.
But,
well, and that's just that. I mean, imagine sleeping with that. It's just every time you roll over, you're waking up.
We've all been there. It's not fun.
It's not fun.
I know another thing that George wanted to point out from today that you observed was how well Jumbo-Visma was protecting.
Yeah, they continue to impress. I mean, of course, they have incredible climbers. They're able to control the climbing stage. But on a day like today where you have some of the best classic riders in the world, if not the best guys, fighting for position, trying to stay in the front in the crosswinds. But to see Jumbo just have their composure all together, controlling not only the mountain stages, but now the stages in the wind and the flat races. So these guys are right now they're unstoppable.
I want to be going. This is a little personal, but did y'all just see what happened to me just now?
No.
Missed that.
So I did. I don't know if it's the smoke. We got smoke back here in the valley, or my allergies. So I just did one of those nasal rinses.
Mm-hmm.
While we were on the show just now.
No, I did it right before I walked over, and I reached over to pick up my notes.
And it drained.
And I mean, it was like a hose. I am so glad we didn't capture that, and it might have caught some of it. Holy shit! It was like a gallon that just came out of my nose.
Oof.
Ugh, gross.
As my kids always say to me, TMI, Dad, TMI.
Yeah, no, it was. But I'm at this point in my life, I want to be totally honest and transparent with you guys and with this audience. So,
going back to the COVID things, where we were able to confirm that one of the teams has been able to replace one of their, I don't know if it was a mechanic or a massage therapist, but they were able to replace him only because they were able to pull one guy out of Tirreno Adriatico, who's also in the bubble. They can't just bring another staff member from home unless he quarantines for a week. So unless you got a guy that's in a bubble on another race, you're not able to replace, which could be a very important staff
I didn't
member.
even know Tirreno is going on right now.
Yeah, it's going on.
That's an iconic race. Imagine being just totally forgotten.
Well, that's where we're getting with this pack season. We're going to have, from now until November, we're just going to have back-to-back racing.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of overlap with Giro and Vuelta and other races.
Yeah. Well, if they get out of here healthy, I mean, there was some that believed that if there was an outbreak at the Tour, that not only would the Tour be canceled, but the rest of the season would be canceled, it's so far so good. So we'll just keep clicking along. Should we talk about what we think for tomorrow? Or actually, you know what? I want to bring this up. This is a cool picture. So I was looking at Pogacar's Twitter page the other day, primarily to see if he followed me. Most importantly, he doesn't. So if anybody knows him, just tell him to give me a follow on Twitter. I'm at Lance Armstrong. But his profile pic, look at this kid. And this might explain why he's calm and cool. Holy fuck. I mean, this might explain why he doesn't really worry about standing in the middle of a road after crashing. Look at the air. I mean, that's impressive. I would never do that.
These days, I know you didn't have quite this upbringing in cycling, but I feel like it's so important for young riders to be able to do any kind of cycling, whether it's mountain biking, track riding, and get all the disciplines of riding a bike in and get experience with that. And as you see today, these are the guys that are able to navigate their way amongst the most dangerous sections of a race and become successful riders.
Yeah. No, it's great. I mean, I commented earlier, maybe he's, like Sagan, did the Olympic Games and he goes out and races. I mean, this kid with his power on the climbs, and if he can ride a mountain bike looks like he can, shit, I don't know, what's this guy, the Swiss guy? Nicky?
Hershey,
what? No, the
yeah. Nico, right? Nico Schurter.
Yeah, I might be stressing if this guy was coming from my medal.
He's a badass.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
All right, let's talk about tomorrow. But before that, we'll take care of a little bit of business. Today's show also brought to you by Roka. I love these things. Not just the sunglasses that I wear. The new one is the Matador. I'll just put these bad boys on. This is the coolest lens that I've had in many, many moons. Holy cow, I look pretty good. Do you see that right now? JB, are you looking at that?
I'm still thinking about your nose running like all over the place.
It's actually still
it
is actually still dripping a little bit. It's disgusting. But I felt like I had to get all that stuff out. These guys, so this brand based in Austin, Texas, started by athletes for athletes, which I think is super legit. Bunch of riders in the tour. We see them every day. And also my readers. I'm up to the 2.0s. Everybody can follow how bad my eyes are deteriorating over the years. The Roka reader, I'm up to the 2.0s. Head on over to Roka, ROKA.com, and here's our flow code. The buy code is the move, 20% off for your first purchase. They are legit. Last one of the day. Now this, you talk about legit. This thing is a game changer, for a difference maker. And George, I barely get to mess with it because George is constantly coming over and stealing my Hypervolt. These guys have been around a long time. They're absolutely crushing it. Used by a bunch of teams in the tour: Quick Step, Jumbo Visma, Lotto Soudal. We posted up our picture yesterday of you and me just having a little quality time with our Normatecs on
the rest day. Correct.
On our rest day, we actually had, and we should have had it queued up, but we had somebody sent in a funny picture of us sitting there together like a bunch of old men. But these guys are onto something. Handheld massage devices, vibrating foam rollers, thermal technology, obviously the Normatec compression boots. Bunch of people, and I think we actually saw some images of guys on the rest day with the boots on as well. Yeah. From the actual race. $50 off some of the percussion devices, $300 off all Normatec packages right now. No code needed. Head on over to Hyperice, HYPERICE.com, hyperice.com. Use the code HYPETHEMOVE for 10% off. Hype the move. There's our flow code.
So it's funny. Somebody asked us about what technology we wish we had when we were racing. I feel like if we had all these devices, the Powerdot, the Hyperice Volt, the Normatecs,
Ketones.
Which I did have Normatecs back in the day. Ketones. I mean, it's all about recovery. It's all about keeping the body healed and ready to perform the next day. So these devices are definitely helping with that.
We came along at a time, I remember, George, you'll remember this, when we first started racing, the soigneurs first of all, they didn't do laundry. Okay, so we all did our laundry in the sink.
Well, that was a long time ago. The first year, maybe, we were racing.
Well, I'm just saying. Did you ever do your laundry in the sink?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to keep going then. So the soigneurs didn't do laundry. This is just the way that it was. Also, too, sort of female soigneurs were taboo, which is just total bullshit. That's completely changed. But you know what? Hang on a second. I actually want to say one other thing, and I'm fucking pissed at myself about this because I got some notes about this. When I was talking about sports and stars of sports and how sports really live and die by the athletes, right? I talked about Tiger in golf. I talked about Jordan and LeBron in basketball. I talked about, man, and bad on me, and I got a lot of notes about this. because at the end I just sort of threw it away, like, and the gals. That's not an acceptable. I ought to be putting time out. All right. I mean, Serena Williams in tennis.
Yeah.
Women's. I mean, come on. I mean, the U.S. Open's going. You're not even going to watch. You don't even know these guys playing. I don't know these guys' names, but Serena. Everybody knows Serena.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody knows. When I think of back in the day when I think of swimming, everybody knows Janet Evans. Right. Everybody knows. So that is bad on me. I'm sorry. So back to what I was saying. So the Swaniers had the massage tables were like just pieces of metal that had a really thin layer of padding on them, and they could throw them and they were really small. They were light, but as this has evolved over the years, I mean, the massage tables are now these big, proper massage tables. But all of this stuff has evolved and become acceptable or accepted. Whether it is devices like the Hypervolt or Powerdot or all of these things. Like back then, they would have been like, you don't need that. Like, just go race your bike.
Well, back then, they wouldn't even let you put anything bigger than a 23 in your back cassette.
Well, if you just showed up, you imagine rolling up in like 93 with a skin suit on, an aero frame, and a 30 on the back for your biggest cog. Yeah, I mean, you would have been laughed
just
out.
Heckled out of the peloton.
They would have laughed you right out of the peloton.
Jeez. Now everybody wears skin suits, and they have the big gears in the back to save their legs on the climbs.
Yep.
Yeah, totally different.
Totally. Thank goodness. I think we were the first. We went to 25 pretty early. And I don't know if it was more just for training, but we were big believers in that. Just, you can go do an easy ride in the climbs if you have the gears.
Yeah.
Totally. Let's talk about tomorrow, because I haven't checked the weather or the wind, but the one thing I did check, and I think we got an image of it, which is it could play a factor towards the end, is there's a little, you come into town within 5K to go. You got a little rise there, right at 3K, and the thing that you won't see, this is the altitude, the profile, but right before 3 kilometers to go and right before that climb, and it's actually noted in the race book, it says very sharp turn. So there's going to be a hard left with 3K to go. And we don't know if that means sharp or narrow or both. And then boom.
Which means fighting to be in the front position.
Fighting like crazy because you don't want to get gapped off. I mean, you're going to get, you get gapped off there.
And 5-6% could be enough for a guy like Alaphilippe, Greg Van Avermaet, Trentin to do an attack and get away with 2 or 3 guys and roll it into the finish line.
What about Nizzolo?
He's gone.
I know.
He gone. He back home.
A la casa.
A la casa. We did see a stronger Sagan today. I mean, it was not like he was just came out of the wheel and went backwards. Today he actually got 3rd place, and he was right up there amongst Caleb and Bennett. So I think he's getting better. He looks better. He looks better.
He does. He doesn't look so awkward.
And I'm also finding it really interesting that Sunweb is right now doing the best leadouts. They haven't won a stage yet, but they're the guys that are all together. Which sprinters, this is what you want. You want 3 or 4 guys right in front of you with 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers to go. You're safe. You have the right to be where you're at. You're not getting bumped off the wheel. So right now, Sunweb is doing the best leadouts.
Yep. Better than Quickstep?
Quickstep obviously had Markov right there at the end, but there was only 1 or 2 guys where Sunweb still had 3 or 4 guys. Obviously, Quickstep pulled it off where it counted, but Sunweb so far has got the guys together at the end.
Yeah.
The best.
Hey, we also got a lot of notes about something else that I was very happy to hear, because I was kind of depressed the other day that Pogačar had then become the youngest winner of a stage of the Tour de France in modern cycling. And the guy before that was the youngest was yours truly. Well, thanks to the readers for doing all the research.
All of our astute listeners.
And if we had our head not up our ass, we would have known this.
I was a little embarrassed that we didn't catch this.
And so I still have the crown. So
that was the first thing Lance said to me this morning when I walked in. I still got it. I still got the crown, youngest rider ever to win the stage in the Tour.
You got to find morale anywhere, George.
I feel like the rest day really helped you. You set the alarm earlier. You were really excited about today's crosswind stage. I think we got a new Lance coming in for the latter part of the race.
If people didn't catch that whole conversation, Pogačar is 4 days younger than you, or something like that.
He's 3 or 4 days.
This tour taking place in September.
Right.
Yours was in July.
Yep. So I guess, like I said, I mean, I don't know how we missed it, but the most important thing here to talk about is I still got the crown. All right.
Still got the crown. And Andy Schleck just texted. He also was tested yesterday and is negative, so he's going to continue to be our on-the-road correspondent. Great news, Andy. Thank you for sharing.
Awesome.
Would you like some more comments, questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is from Eric. I will never forget at last year's tour of California when I was working in the green room printing leaders' jerseys, and after handing Pogacar's young rider jersey, I remarked to Tadej that it matched his UAE kit. He replied, "I only care about yellow."
Ooh.
Granted, it's technically gold in the Tour of California, but his confidence was so strong.
You know what
again,
else?
That's from Eric.
I'm not totally firing today. I feel I've clearly not firing because I forgot to cue Alain because it's kind of an interesting.
It's a tough one to pronounce.
It's a pronunciation.
from today.
Yeah, will be
I
fun.
haven't
So
had my headphones on the whole time either, by the way.
that's because you were worried about what you look like. So let's So stage 10 from.
My bad. I turned it down.
Stage 10. Île d'Oléron, le Château d'Oléron, to Île de Ré, Saint-Martin-de-Ré.
Oh my God,
That's a tough one.
That is just I'm not even going to attempt that. And the other thing that's been happening is our friend Joe Natali, who did the rendering there of George, the most interesting man in the world, on the couch for Athletic Brewing, one of our great supporters. He's got some competition. Okay, now Joe, just so you know, you've inspired people to send us stuff, and this top 3 for me, straight out of Breaking Bad.
You're Walt. He's Walter. He's Jesse, I guess.
That is amazing, Joe. You better not. You better get some sleep tonight and wake up with some inspiration tomorrow.
That was sent from Jason Simpson, by the way.
We also heard a really cool story from our old friend John Eustace, one of the OGs in American professional cycling, now a journalist. He wrote a story on Facebook about how Roglic, at 22 years old, decided to quit ski jumping. He was one of the best ski jumpers in the country of Slovenia, which is apparently very competitive there to be one of the best ski jumpers, and called a really prominent under 23 team and said, "Hey, I want to be professional. I don't want to ski anymore. Can you help me?" And the guy said, "Well, how old are you?" And he said, "Well, I'm 22. He's like, "It's too late. It's impossible. You'll never make it." He said, "I'll consider letting you on the team, but you got to pay for all your stuff, your bicycle, your license, all that," which was 5,000 euros at the time. So Roglic said, "Okay, I'll call you back." He called him 3 months later, apparently went to work at a grocery store, saved up 5,000 euros, called him back 3 months later, said, "I have the money. I'm ready."
That's
paid for all of his stuff. Pretty crazy story.
I mean, and that's the DNA that it takes, right? I mean, if you're going to go work at a grocery store to make the money to get, he's going to do the work on the bike. That's the same DNA.
But I think you guys should elaborate on someone not even starting to ride a bike until they're 20. I mean, it's just
it's almost unheard of.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's amazing when a lot of these Belgian kids are born riding a bike and competing at a very young age.
Yeah, I mean,
and Remco Evenepoel was also a really good soccer player in Belgium. I mean, played soccer till he was 18 years old, and then decided to take cycling more seriously. And now look at him; he's one of the best guys in the world. And
another one of our loyal viewers or listeners, or somebody sent us this. On the side of the road, that somebody captured this on Twitter. This, you talk about making my rest day. Look at hello. I mean, this is what a snapshot, and I don't know who sent it. Higgs, maybe you know, but what a heads up snap. I mean, that's so. Look at that right there.
No,
is that Santa? It almost looks like Santa Claus is wearing the We Do jersey, but that is. That's awesome.
Yeah, one of our listeners picked it up and screenshotted just a spectator wearing one of the that's an original We Do shirt, right? With the big lettering.
I wonder if it's a jersey.
It's a jersey.
That's the OG We Do jersey.
Wow, I can't believe anyone noticed that.
Yeah,
it's just a blip.
Golly.
All right. Here's some more questions. This is also interesting about Pogacar. Olivia wrote this in to remind us that he was locked for a month in the same hotel in a hotel in the Emirates. Remember when they all had the
that's
shutdown and they were quarantined for a month?
I didn't. I remember reading that story that some of the team members. I didn't realize he was one. And they were training. I mean, they had their rollers in there, I believe, right?
I'm not sure, but
I
that's
think
kind of
so.
crazy.
But still, I mean, how much training can you do? God Almighty. The talk about PTSD.
Yeah.
Right. Here's one from Disparia. That's a screen name. But what would be the best way to fix the polka dot jersey? What if they based it on total ascent time for all categorized climbs, and whichever rider climbed the fastest cumulatively wears it on the day?
Somebody sent us this yesterday, and this was just sent it to us personally. I actually think Lars sent us this, who helps us with some stuff on the team here. He sent it in and said, what if they just timed all the climbs? I said, I'd vote for that. Right. I mean, that you would obviously then know who the fastest and the best climber is. So, yes. The answer is yes.
I think that would be interesting, but it'd be really complicated as well.
No, it wouldn't.
No.
It's a chip timing
It's all
thing,
GPS.
right?
It's all,
yeah.
You do it at your Fondo.
Correct. True.
I
just keep thinking about.
I mean, was that a burn notice or what?
That was a burn notice, but I keep thinking about when at times you get the sprinters. There have been times when a sprinter will get the best time on a climb because he held onto the car like an hour behind.
In the back. Right.
Yeah,
We've talked about that.
Well, Mario Cipollini can tell us about that. One year on the Mortirolo, he was top 10. It was either, but that was more getting pushes from the fans because it's so narrow and there were so many spectators. He just got pushed the whole way up. It was top 10.
That's awesome. Okay, here's a couple of very contradictory messages. This is from John. It says, you asked, do Roglic and Pogačar train together in Slovenia? According to Eurosport, they live in Monaco and they do train together.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone else wrote to us, Anze, said Roglic and Pogačar didn't train together in Slovenia. They trained together with their teams abroad. They are not actually friends. They are from different generations of riders. They might be Slovenians, but above all, they are rivals.
Yeah, I'm not going to read too much into that. I mean, maybe they're not, going on vacation together, but that's different than just downright hating somebody. When we saw it with the almost crash there, 3 or 4 stages ago, it seemed like to me like there was some camaraderie and some mutual respect there.
You used to love all of your American rivals.
Hated, I didn't like. I didn't. Did I almost say hated? No, listen. We were just morons, and we just made this stuff up. We just made up reasons to not like people, which is not the way to do it. If going back, I'd do it differently.
Would you?
Yeah.
I mean, I can get that mindset. It adds fuel if you hate your opponent, but
yeah, get your hate on.
Yeah, I get it.
I mean, extra large serving of hater tots every day. Big old gulp of haterade.
This is interesting. Michael writes, JB Lance and Georgie. Got a Georgie on that one. Back in the day, Once couldn't wear yellow in the Tour de France. What's your thoughts on Jumbo wearing yellow?
We were talking about it during the stage.
Yep.
Again,
and then they also asked, do you have a favorite kit in the Peloton today? That's from Michael.
And it's I don't know how, obviously they changed the rule because Once was all year long was a very yellow jersey. And during the Tour, they made him wear a black or made him wear some other color. One year was pink, one year was black. I don't know. I mean, it's when you're watching that overhead shot, you can, well, right now they have the yellow jersey, so I guess it doesn't matter much, but
we couldn't distinguish the other day between Adam Yates and some of the Jumbo guys from the overhead shot, which we actually commented on that, how much ASO must hate that because the yellow jersey is meant to stand out more than anything.
It's a good question, and it's actually a question that I think I can get the answer to. Right? You're not the only one getting scoops and sources and intel. All right, let me work on getting that answer.
Okay, work on getting the answer about whether or not Pogačar and Roglic get along.
I've gone right to the source on that.
Okay, perfect.
And I will leave it at that.
Got it.
All right. If you have comments or questions, you can post them on our Facebook channel, YouTube channel, or send them to the move@wedo.team.
We're going to do picks for tomorrow?
Yeah, let's talk about I think tomorrow I just think it's going to be. I think it's going to be nervous the last 4 or 5K, and then that final turn, that sharp turn that's clearly pointed out in the race book, and then a 4 to 6% grind for 600 or 700 meters. That's going to put some. That takes a guy like Caleb Ewan out of the equation. But you know what, guys, and I said I'm not going to do this anymore, but I'm going back on my word. Because I saw him today.
And, no, you're going to take my pick.
I'm picking Peter Sagan.
Yeah, that was my pick.
Oh, you can, George. By the way, we can have the same pick.
Johan just wrote in, by the way, changing the yellow as team jersey is voluntary, not mandatory. So I guess it was never a rule.
Oh,
so what do we know? Thank you, Johan.
I love Johan's listening to us.
Yeah, I don't know who I'm going to pick now because you just took my pick.
Just pick him.
Oh, I can pick him also?
Yeah.
No.
Johan, who are you picking? Send us a note right quick if you're listening. Who are you picking for tomorrow? But I'm going to go back on my word. God almighty, did you see this haircut that Egan Bernal got? This is
not a good look.
Clearly he's lost a bet. I mean, this is not. Oh, my Lord. What happened? That can't be real. Oh, my God. I mean, it's like he's in the Sex Pistols. How do you say that in Spanish, George? The Sex Pistols. How do you say that in Colombian? Sex Pistoles? Pistoles de sex?
It's an interesting haircut.
I'm
going to go with Wout van Aert for tomorrow.
Ooh, that's a good pick. That's a good pick.
Before Johan writes in and takes my pick, I'm going with Wout.
The other thing and we were talking about this before the show, and then I promise we'll let y'all go, is I've just been noticing, and sometimes obviously people have the same last name, right? Unless your last name's Hincapie. Like, folks, if there's ever a Hincapie in the Tour de France, I fucking promise you he's related to this guy, right? If there was an Armstrong, maybe not. Johan picking Caleb Ewan for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Ooh, he will tell you about that on his show, which comes up right after this. But there's some kids in the race that we race with their fathers. So you got Laurent Matois' son.
Yep.
You got Ivan Ledanois' son, Sivakov's son. And then there was another kid, this kid Cyril Barth, which I was curious if that was the son of Stefan Barth. So for you guys and gals out there, maybe you all know, another little trivia thing, send it in to us. But that's you know what, that's when you know you're getting old, man. All of a sudden there's kids racing where you race with their dad. That's when you know you're old.
Right.
Ah.
Any future racers in your families? I know George is out mountain biking with his kids a lot.
He's got some. His kids are legit.
Your older kids have picked other sports.
Max, Max.
I think
he's got the build.
Max could dominate whatever he chooses.
As we just discussed, it's never too late, right?
Yeah, that's true. Well, Luke Armstrong is 6'3" and 245 pounds, so I don't think he's going to.
Are they going to be playing here soon?
So, for those who don't know, Luke plays football at Rice. I think they're going to play. Yeah.
Awesome.
So,
good for him.
Yeah, good for him. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll come back tomorrow. We'll see how our predictions did. We got 2 Sagans and a Caleb Ewan over there.
No, I went with Wout.
Oh, I'm sorry. You went that.
Yeah.
You're right. Why? Just because you didn't want to have the same as me? Well, that's a good pick, though, by the way.
I think today we didn't see him in the front. Well, we didn't see him sprinting because he was helping so much in the crosswinds. But tomorrow, depending on which way the wind is, if he gets some freedom, we've seen it already twice. He's got the fastest, more power than anybody when it comes to a final like that.
Have we checked the weather?
We have not.
Let me just check it right quick because this is the stuff that matters, right? This is the stuff that. No, look at that. Nothing but sunshine. 85 degrees. Ooh. Wind, light winds. So 9-mile-an-hour wind. So there you go. Yeah, it should be it should be a sprint, or maybe the break. Who knows? All right, guys. Well, it's nice to be back. It's been nice
Until
to be
tomorrow.
back on the horse. All right. See y'all tomorrow.